Happy evening to all. So, welcome to the training session, especially on lesson plan, how to design the lesson plan. So, we'll be glad to all the participants. You can just post your name also and from which city you belong. And I'll make sure that this session is going to be very fruitful for every teacher and every educator, where we are going to must understand that how the lesson plan has been connected with the assessment, evaluation, and the NEP 2020, which is very important because this is a 3 days of workshop where you will be understanding lesson plan connection with the assessment and with the activity, how these three of these are connected with each other. So we'll be very glad if you people will start making notes and all. And within these 3 days, you all will get a lot of input about the lesson plan, not only, even the assessment process also. So without wasting the time, let me to just go with today purpose of this session. First of all, it's a very important for every one of us as a CBC school affiliated teacher. The lesson plan expectation is what? It's not those days where we used to only write about the learning objective and how the activity and all. It's highly based on how to measure the learning outcome, because it's very important. Learning outcome has been somehow connected with the assessment process. And how NEP 2020, if we talk about the pedagogy of CBSE and especially the NEP 2020, it's very clear that we have to must apply Bloom's taxonomy in the classroom teaching, multiple intelligence, and how the KWLH strategy for the engagement and reflection. The time we have focus on the learning outcome, followed by Bloom's taxonomy, then only the assessment with the competency-based education can be improvised. So which is very important for we all as a teacher to just work on that. And trust me, once we have understood the lesson plan, how to make, then automatically everything can be on the track. So today's session, we are going to just understand purpose of this session is first, today is the lesson planning. So when I ask to you all, how many of us plan lesson, keeping students' learning outcome in the mind? So I just wanted to see in the chat box also, how many of you have made your lesson plan with the learning outcome? Can I see some answer? Yes, yes, we do. Yes. So most of you have said that yes, lesson plan, we think with the learning students' learning outcome. This is very quite common. But why the CBSE has emphasis on lesson planning? That is very important for us to understand in this session, because the lesson plan, especially since past 4 years, lot of training has been given, but the CBSE is continuously asking that your lesson plan should be in a such a way where the competency based education, it means where we have to bring the students from rote learning to conceptual learning. So when we talk about the conceptual learning, here only our lesson planning designing should be accordingly, and that's very important, where the students has to observe the learning with the outcome, because NEP 2020, it's all about the student centric approach. It's not those days gone where the teacher, we as a teacher, we used to teach and give the lecture. It's not at all. Nowadays, how much we have engaged the students, how much students are participating, these all the planning has to be done when we plan the lesson plan. This is what the focus on competency based education. So this is very important for us to must identify how to make the lesson plan which has to align with the learning outcome. So let us to just go with that understanding. So what is learning outcome? if you'll understand, as per the CBC pedagogy and methodology, when we understand, so as we have seen the NEP 2020, the major change is what? Okay, learning outcome are mandatory in the CBC lesson plan. It means what? From the starting, the day one, when you have taken the chapter and you have taken any theme or any topic, you need to be very clear that what is the learning outcome of this particular theme, chapter, or topic, because here it's very very important what students will be able to do. Our target should be what in my class, if I have a 30 students to 40 students or 20 students, how each child is going to do, able to do what they are going to able to do. Because as we know that every child is not at all on the same track. Some of us will say that this child is not at all taking interest in the studies. Some of the students are very bright. So how as a teacher we have to bring the learning outcome of that particular topic and chapter? That's important a lot. So for that, how the learning outcome, when we make the lesson plan, where how to use a action verb, which type of action verb which we have to use in our learning outcome, where we can measure and observe the students learning is happening or not. So here it is all about the guide, teaching, learning, and assessment. So this is what, as per the CBC, it has been guided. We have to focus on learning outcome, which is mandatory, where they told clearly it's mentioned that from the day one, a teacher or mentor has to focus on what the students is able to do. And for that, we have to use lot of action verb in our lesson plan. It's not only that learning objective, activity, topic, and all those days, those type of lesson plan is not at all suitable for these competency-based education when we talk. So for that, how we have to do. So let us to, before going for depth of this session of the lesson plan, I just wanted to just understand one activity I'm just going to give. See, student is supposed to be, student will understand the photosynthesis, okay? And students will be able to explain the process of photosynthesis with the diagram. Think and answer why why is the second one is the best. Correct. I just really want this answer. Why we feel like that? Ki if the student will explain the process of a photosynthesis with the diagram, then they will understand better which one is the correct and why. If this answer will be asked, what will be your answer for that? If you think that the second one is why. It helps with visualization. Very good. Understand and expressing. Second option is more visual and expression, because it has a clear and defined learning outcome. More answer I want, because here only we have to go depth of the lesson plan designing. We'll understand why diagram we used to say. Two-way explanation, okay? More answer. Conceptual clarity, okay? They will remember it for the longer period. More answer. As per the NEP 2020, lifelong learning experience. Second is because it is more clear to explain it properly. Okay, more with diagram to know how much they know and better understanding. Okay, more. Can I know more? Easy to memorize. Okay, easy to memorize. They will learn. It helps students to critically to think. Yes, one word I got, critical. Okay, very good, Renuka. Hmm. And more think of as we critical thinking, measurable, observable, very good, learning outcome, very good. It can be measurable. Yes, smart learning process. Yes. Now we are going with those parameter with what we can analytical thinking. Very good. Very good. Chalo, let me to just break this suspense here. It's very important for us to understand when we talk about the Bloom's taxonomy. The Bloom's taxonomy talks about lower to higher. So the time we have brought the picture and visualization, it means what? We have given the time to child, as you many of you have given the answer. The child is analyzing here. the time the child is drawing, the child is analyzing. The time the child will analyze, the child will apply. And the time the child will apply, the child will create. So this is what is very important for us to understand. What do we mean by competency-based education? Because 10th class, 12th class, when we see that competency-based questions means what? Is more case study questions. When we talk about the case study questions means what? It's more about real life questions. When we talk about the real life question means what? The child in the class, whatever the topic and theme is learning, it should be connected with the real life. That simple thing is that. So it means what? Whatever the topic theme, when we as a teacher is teaching, our lesson plan has to be designed in a such a way where we have to bring Bloom's taxonomy, where we have to take lower to higher order to the entire class. That is what here is very, very important for us to understand what type of verb I have to use. You could see that any question, for an example, I'll say that 10th class question paper, if you see that, is the key word of the key command word is photosynthesis. How the same photosynthesis keyword will become tough for the students when the verb will change, like explain, analyze, differentiate. So could we see that how the commanding keyword, the command of the question will make the keyword of that photosynthesis sometime in a lower order and sometime in a higher order. So this is what the Bloom's taxonomy has been brought, where we have to understand how to make my lesson plan, where the child from the lower order to higher order has to be moved. So let us just go directly depth of the lesson plan, how we have to make it, because your lesson plan only in the future somehow will bring the students for the higher level of learning of the competency based questions. So this is very, very important for us as a teacher, where we have to bring the practice of Bloom's taxonomy in our lesson plan. So here, this is what the main game, actually, I could say that. So Bloom CBC follows Bloom's hierarchy. Whether you see the 10th and 12th exam question paper, Bloom's taxonomy. So that's the reason they are asking, bring the Bloom's taxonomy in the lesson plan. So if we see here, the first two, if you see that remember and understand. So simple, if I'll ask that photosynthesis, as this is one example I'm taking, photosynthesis. When we ask, define about the photosynthesis, the child will think definition is there in the book and they will answer. So here when the child is thinking, the child is remembering, okay, what did I learn? And whatever with the understanding, the child will give the answer. So it means what? Remember and understand, it comes under lower order. But the time when we have made the students to apply with the fact and rule of the concept, it means the concept where the child will bring the photosynthesis where he or she did some activity. So here the child is analyzing when they are bringing into the real life. Like suppose if any experiment can be given by the teacher where the 2, 3 leaves has to be given and then has to be asked that show me the photosynthesis process. The child will think how to give my experiment and how to do the any type of experiment with the leaves. So there, here the teacher has involved the more analyzing capacity of this topic, where the child as a team or in the school or whether at home will evaluate how I can bring this photosynthesis with the leaves which the teacher has asked me to show the photosynthesis process. So it's a very, very important for us to make the child to take to the level of creating, but the child will do certain activity, certain project, certain experiment which will a part of the teacher activity. The child can give some extra other activity which will show the photosynthesis process. So this is what the Bloom's taxonomy which has been asked by the CBSE, where we have to move from the lots to hots. It means lower order to higher order. So we could see here, you all could see that the first is obviously remembering, very important when you are designing your lesson plan. So certain question you can see, keep, like we used to tell also recalling in the class. Give, whenever we start the session, whenever we take the class, we will bring the class to recall with the prior knowledge. So that prior knowledge is somehow where the child is remembering and understanding. Okay, this is what the topic has been brought by the teacher. But when you do lot of activity in the class, you have involved the class and all, everyone is applying those topic in the class. The activity when we are bringing, that time applying is happening. But the time you have asked them to analyze, to do the research, that time what happened? You have made the students to evaluate okay, how much they have understood, whether they could do some research or not. So when we are taking the students like this way, this is what the lower order thinking to higher order thinking. So as a teacher, how I have, as an educator, how I have to bring the Bloom's taxonomy in my particular topic, where this all the 6 parameter of remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating has to be done. This is what which is very important in designing of lesson plan. So when I talk about that, you all could reflect with these verbs. Why these verbs has been given. So when I use in my class, ki define, list out, it's a very easy way where the child can remember and can give. So these are the words, action verbs. When we are using, it means what? We have made the students to remember. So lower order thinking means we understood that every student is understanding and easy to participate. You could see that out of 30, at least 25 students will give the answer. Okay, this is what the definition and all. But the time when we are asking explain and describe and summarize, you will see that out of 30 right now, the 20 hands will be up. They may explain in their language and all. But the time when we are asking, you solve and demonstrate with the some live example, that time you could see that out of 30, hardly 15 hands or 10 hands are raised. It means what? They are tough. For them, it's somehow tough to apply and solve that problem. And the time when we are making the students, how you will differentiate and compare any topic, that time very few students will come forward. And the final is the creating. It means when the child has construct, when we all have heard that portfolio why we give. The portfolio is nothing why this type of activity and project the CBC has brought, because they're very particular about that. Let us to make the students to create more, construct more. That's the reason portfolio activity has to be brought, and like more project based learning when we talk and all. So this is what we have to understand. When I am making my lesson plan, do I work on this action verb or not? Because these are the action verb you could find in even the 10th and 12th class question paper. It means what? The very simple, wherever we could see like differentiate, compare, examine, child is allowed to analyze and write by his and her own in the answer sheet. It means what? He's thinking more and he is just evaluating more. So that's the reason it's a higher order. So here with our lesson plan only we can understand that am I bringing my class? Am I taking the students from the lower order to higher order or not by using these type of action verb? So it's very, very important for us as an educator to must understand how to bring these action verbs through our activity. This is very important. So for an example, just here I have given like writing Bloom-based learning outcome, okay? The example, explain evaporation using daily life example. So here you could see that analyze causes of historical events. So here you could see that what type of verb. So here the child like know, learn, understand. So correct format, if suppose you are making in your lesson plan, how it has to be written. So you have to student will be able to plus action verb plus content. So if I'll ask that how it will be when you are making your lesson plan, how you have to make the correct format where your action verb has to be placed. So this is if I'll ask in the chat box, I really wanted to understand how many of you when you are making your lesson plan, you will this correct format, how you will make it. Like suppose your students will be able to plus add one action verb and the content. One example I have given, you could see that explain is one of the action word. This is what the example I have given. Okay. So what type of action verb you can add it? Can I see in the chat? Is a learning outcome, okay, based lesson plan when you are making. So how you have to make sure that your learning outcome supposed to be students will be able to. What able to? What type of action verb you have to use and what content related to this example? Think of analyzing. Yes, Vibhuti Shah, very good. Students, yes, identify, differentiate, analyze. Very good, Smita madam. Yes. Student will be able to explain evaporation using daily life example. Okay, very good. Very good. So these all type of sentence we have to make sure that in our lesson plan where we have to, yes, interpret historical, yes, interpret, yes. More. Can I find more? Able to do daily life experience. Action verb is missing. We have to add the action verb. You have seen that how I have shown the action verb here. Could you see that? So first, last three is higher order thinking. Okay, and first two, remember and understand when we talk, it's a lower order thinking. So your target in your class will be what? To take the students from lower to higher. So what action verb you have to keep, make sure that where the students, you need to show that it has reached to the higher order thinking. So what type of action verb can be brought? Able to differentiate, yes, very good. Between physical and chemical changes, very good, very good. Now compare and analyze for the better implementation, yes. Students will be able to identify the historical event, yes. Describe and illustrate. To create a working model, very good, Renuka. Students will be able to create. Create is an action word and the content what the Renuka madam has given, model that shows evaporations. Very good. So like that way we have to must understand ki how are we going to make and write our lesson plan, because your lesson plan should be based on, as the CBC has asked, on what? Learning outcome. And learning outcome means what? Where you are bringing the Bloom's taxonomy, and the Bloom's taxonomy, how you will bring in the lesson plan. The time you have brought such questions which is taken to the students from the lower order to higher order. So that's how as a teacher, we all have to work on that. Analyze, and students will be able to examine the causes and effects of significant historical event. Very good, madam. Very good. Yes, analyze into the real life scenario. So wonderfully, you all have understood, I could say that. So let us to here see that Bloom's assessment. See, when we talk about the lesson plan, we all know that when we are making the lesson plan, it's not only about just how to teach, how to assess. So when we are talking about the assessment, so here again we have to work on Bloom's assessment, because obviously as a teacher, when you are teaching in the class that particular topic, like suppose for an example photosynthesis only as we are taking, so I'll just talk on that. So remember, we have understood that, okay, it's all about MCQ oral questions. When it comes, it's about the remembering. But the time apply comes, it means more application based. So you can bring some assessment like numericals more, you can give worksheets related to the application base. The time case study you wanted to do. So more case study question when you are bringing, it means the child is analyzing on that. And the create, as I said that like one of Renuka madam has given a very good learning outcome question, like students will be able to make the models. Okay. So this is how our assessment also has to match with the learning outcome. It's very important when I'm reflecting on how to teach and how to assess. When these both have been connected, then your topic is taking to the students to the competency-based education, which is very, very, very important for us, where we have to work on proper, perfect lesson plan planning, which is very, very, very important for us. So this is how you people could see that Bloom's taxonomy blueprint. So could you see that here the objective, subjective, everything is here. So when as a teacher supposed to be your chapter name, any chapter, whichever the subject you teach, for an example, social you are taking and the topic is French Revolution, okay? So you have to must identify that from this chapter, whether I have to take objective or subjective. So I need to must work that whether it's for the remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing or what. Because your topic might be many of you have heard also in the 10th class, high weightage chapter, high weightage topic means what? When we are talking about the high weightage topic, for example, math may, algebra is the high weightage topic, okay? For science, we have life process. Social, we have a nationalism in Europe in 10th class. So here we need to understand when these are the high weightage topic and chapter, the question should be mapped for all these parameters. It means it's supposed to be 20 marks of the algebra, where I have to keep for the analyzing, where I have to keep for the applying, where I have to keep for the understanding, and how this division has to be done. So when we are designing our lesson plan from the day one, when as a teacher we are teaching in the class, I should be very clear that when this is a very high weightage topic, high weightage chapter, which is aligned with students for the board exam, then how my teaching should be? It should be more competencies level, advanced level. So it means for my higher order level, open-ended questions should be more. I need to bring such questions more, where more case study should be. So this is what it's very, very, very important for us to understand the Bloom's taxonomy blueprint. And I feel that every teacher, I will be anyhow sharing in the group also this sheet with you all, so that any time when you, whether in the school, if your school management is asking also is very good. If not also, as a teacher, we must should make our lesson plan keeping this parameter in front of us. It means how many questions I'm giving in the class where remembering and understanding is more, and how many questions I am giving where the applying, analyzing, and creating is happening more. So this is how multiple assessment, because as today's session is about the now later when we will see that tomorrow and day after tomorrow, when we are going with assessment, multiple assessment, how we have to go with the pen and paper, will come. She aligned with the lesson plan first. The time I have planned my lesson plan, I need to work with what? I have to work with my lesson plan where the open-ended questions, many questions which I have to create with remembering, understanding, applying, and analyzing, which is very important. Then only when I'm going with making the question paper. See, CBC, how they design the question paper of the 10th and 12th. They are work on the Bloom's taxonomy. 50% weightage they have given for high weightage questions for what? For higher order. So higher order means what? 20 marks. Could you see that? Applying, and 20 marks for analyzing, evaluating, creating. It means 40 marks for there. So it means me as a teacher, whether I'm there in the grade 1 I'm teaching, grade 4 I'm teaching, grade 6 I'm teaching, whichever the class I'm teaching, my level of teaching should be towards a higher order more. So 50% at least I have to divide. So that's very, very important. The MCQ, many of the time, what we will feel like MCQ means it's objective, it's easy. No, not at all. If I'm keeping 10 marks of MCQ, it means 10 objective. In that 5 marks, it should be 1 marks of, it will be remembering and understanding. But other 5 marks, it will be applying, analyzing, a bit of tough. This is what the segregation of all the question has to be done. It means what? Whether the MCQ, whether the fill in the blanks, whether the 2 marks, 3 marks, 4 marks, 5 marks, all these questions type has to be divided into lower to higher order. because we all also know that in the class might be many of the students cannot go for the higher order level also, because might be there they are not so advanced to learn that. So we have to keep in our mind also, okay, yes, lower order also 50% at least we have to divide. But we as a teacher, we have to take always the topic, always the class to the higher order. So this is what which is very important for us, how to design my lesson plan, where the Bloom's taxonomy, where open-ended question, where my learning outcome has to must connect with this parameter. And parameter is what? Remembering, understanding, applying, and the remaining three, could you see that? Analyzing, evaluating, and creating 20 marks. It means what? That is too tough, very tough. So very tough, obviously we have to segregate at least 25 to 30% of the weightage we have to give. So this is what from the day one when we are teaching, we have to bring it. So this is one of, I could say, the reflection activity, rapid fire question on understanding Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so I will be glad. Remember, name one verb used in the remember level of Bloom's taxonomy. Can I see in the chat box? One verb. I have already taken one verb. Recall. Very good, Pallavi. Very good. Define. Very good, Priyanka. Define. List. Yes. Very good. Very good. So understood. Three. After remembering, define, list, identify. Very good. So now we all as a teacher need to think, when I'm designing my question paper and the time I'm asking the class, define, list, identify. So this is what? Lower order, where the child is remembering and understanding. Okay. Same way, understand. If I'll ask, just give me in one phrase, explain what understand means in Bloom's taxonomy. Can I see in the chat box? Describe, very good. Summarize, explain, very good. Differentiate, think of differentiate, summary. Yes, very good, very good. So you all are very attentive. So could you see that answer is put in your own word, like summarize. Okay, as many of you have given also explained and all. So this goes in understanding. And as I said, remembering and understanding, both of this parameter comes under lower order thinking. It means lower order thinking means it's not so tough. We can do this task. Students can do this task. Students can recall. Students can go with definition. They can define. They can memorize and they can summarize, because these two parameters of remembering and understanding, when we are asking explain, summarize, define, list, these all are rote learning. Any child can do that. Understood that? That's the reason what the CBC is saying, bring the students from the rote learning to memorizing concept based. So when the concept based will start, when the summarize, explain, define, okay, it's done. It has to be done. After that, what? When the apply will happen. So give me any class activity that will give the apply level, because you all have to make the lesson plan. So we have to work on that, how we have to do it. Apply what the act verb and what we have to do. I just really wanted to see that. Any answer? Chat box. What activity? Fast, fast, fast. We 21st century educator, we all have to be very ready to handle this higher order level of role play. Very good. Case study to collect data and find mean, median. Very good. Renuka, very good. Yes. So here, the answer you could see that when I go with apply level, solve a problem, or supposed to be, as few of you have given the answer also, any situation, any activity where I am asking solve a problem. I am asking demonstrate a concept, illustrate with an example. So the time, any time in the CBC board also, you have seen that any question, explain with an example, describe with an example. The time we are asking with an example, illustrate with an example, it means this is taking to the higher order level. Because here the child has to give the example, and when we talk about the example, the understanding to know about those examples and all. So that's the reason when we talk about apply, it's very, very important to use these verbs. Okay. Yes, with life skill, create mind map. Very good. Mind map, flow chart, these all comes under apply. Now if I'll ask, analyze. What's a quick question stem you use for analyze? This is absolutely higher order. This is absolutely higher order. I wanted to see that how many of you could answer. Critical thinking, yes. How the question should be. Think of question. I'm trying to search those verb here. Like what the verb we will. Yes, differentiate, compare, examine. Very good. Very good, Francis. Very good. So here compare, differentiate, examine. So the time I'm using in the class and I'm asking the students compare, differentiate, examine. They're doing the research because the research is happening. Compare when the child will compare, when the child will do the differentiate, when I'm allowing the class to have some discussion, when I'm allowing in the class to have some debate, correct or not? The time all the students are doing the brainstorming, how to differentiate, how to argue with each other, how to keep their point. So this is what examining is happening. So why we used to say that when you will be doing this higher order level of all this activity in your as per the topic, you have to choose certain topic which will allow the students to bring all these action verb. So as a teacher, when I am making my lesson plan, I'll make sure that I have to make sure that my students should differentiate, should have the debate, should have that role play in the class where they have to just show their own understanding of that particular topic. So this is what which is very important for us to understand all the parameter of Bloom's taxonomy. So here again, when I talk about the evaluate, so name and evaluate level. So what will be question you could ask about students' work? So I want in this everyone participation. This is very, very important. It's a very higher level of evaluate means where the teacher will have her own reflection of that particular topic. Ki how my students have understood in a higher order level. Differentiate, balance, right and young. Justify. Very good. Very good. Yes. Who will justify? Yes, justify, Kapila. Very good. Justify. You could understand when we're talking about the justify, it's more argument needed here. Moha, yes, elaborate. Verify the answer. Very good. So could you understand these all are the action verb. Verify beyond the concept. Yes, elaborate. Justification. Support your answer. Very good, Renuka. Very good. Awesome. Support your answer. So could you see that when we are asking support your answer, the child has to bring what? More evidences. And when anyone can bring the more, validate. Very good, Pallavi. Very good. So these all are the action verb where you have taken the students to the more higher level. It's too extreme. Validate, support with your answer. So like that way we have to work after to give reason. Very good. Very good. So could you understand why this action verb needed in the lesson plan? So when as a teacher, when I am making my lesson plan, I should make sure that it's not doing one task of making the lesson plan. Not at all. Here only I will think about the learning outcome. How in my class all these 30 students should reach to the higher order level. And when I'm using this activity through this action verb, from the day one only, I need to have that clarity. How many questions I have brought for remembering, how many questions I have brought for applying, how many activity I have brought. So this is what I need to design my entire lesson plan. So that is what lesson plan is, not just to write down one topic and to complete. No, not at all. This is a vision of the teacher to make sure that my students should reach to that. That's very, very, very important. And think of that if you have 12 chapters, out of 12 chapter, if the sixth chapter also the students have validated, they have predicted like the way whatever we are giving this action verb, if they could compare, they could identify, they can give with their support answer. So it means what? Child concept has been clear. Completely. It's not a rote learner. We did not make as a teacher rote learner. We allow the class ki, yes, this is what your interpretation and you have thought like that, where the teacher will reflect that how many students have really participated, how many students in the class I have engaged. So this is very important for us to must work on that. So this is why lesson plan designing is the first and the very, very important step to bring the competency based education. So I hope that you all are understanding how much important lesson plan designing in the parameter of Bloom's taxonomy. So create when we talk. So if again, what will be the task? Give me create task. What would you ask students to design or invent? Can you just give me with some activity if really the higher level, extreme higher level? Create means yes, this is done. They are the researcher, they are the innovator. They are going to really rock in the future in their career. So how you will make your subject in that particular topic where the students will create. So can I have some example of those action verb? I'll see. Make a flow chart of water psychic construct. Pallavi, very good. Construct the model. Yes, very good. Mind map. Students act as a reporter and create news content. Okay, very good. Yes, yes. Synthesize the detail into an article. Develop. Yes, action word. I could see Pallavi is giving too many action word. Concept map. Yes. Visit for applied project. Very good, Vishwas. Very good. Construct a historical narrative. Very good. Very good. So you all could understand that role play. Role play will go in apply and all, especially like construct. Student design a creative timeline with the drawing and caption. Presentation. Yes, presentation is a creating. They have created. Very good. The role play also when they are going with a higher level of, yes, build connection between past and present. Very good, Gayatri. So answer, design a poster. The time we are asking portfolio also, when I said that portfolio, why the portfolio has brought by the CBSE as a project? Why? They have told also that every subject teacher should must work on portfolio. Portfolio is nothing. It's the creating where you have given that space to the child to create something, whether they will design a poster, whether they can compose a story or anything where they can make they can revise like in one of the school I have seen that the teacher made sure that the entire lesson the child has narrated in his way. Completely the lesson plan, the character is the same, everything is same, but only the situation has been completely changed. So who can do? Who can create the things? Because tomorrow they can be a writer, they can be a philosopher, they can be a doctor that they need to create. We need to make sure that from the rote learning to higher order level, how they will go when we have given that space to the students to create. So creating is a very, very, very important where we are bringing the class to the extreme higher order level. So this is the sixth parameter which we have to must work on. How many of you know about KWLH strategy? If you know, please keep in the chat. I wanted to see that. KWLH. KWLH. Any one of you can wanted to speak on KWLH who knows who is here in this class? Just raise the hand. I'll unmute. No, very good. Anyone? I would love to listen if someone of you will participate to speak on this. Anything we can, no problem. It's we all as in what I know, what I want to know. Yes. Very good try, Shobha. See, here we have talked about Bloom's taxonomy, okay? But connection with the Bloom's taxonomy, your lesson plan flow, how it will be, how the lesson plan flow. When you are working on this KWLH strategy, it means what? What students know. First K means what? What students know. For an example, what we could see the bat. The example is bat. What we know. Supposed to be students. You are going to ask the students what they know. So students will speak here. Bats can fly. A different answer you could see that. Bats live in caves and trees. Bats rest hanging upside down. Bats are mammals. So this is what you have collected the answer. Okay, what students know. Then what students want to know. That as a teacher also we need to understand. That is very important. So then it will come to know, you as a teacher need to identify what we want to find out. So here only the students will reach to the, will apply learning outcome, because students also should understand now why they are going to learn this chapter and what is the strategy of this chapter. So supposed to be the students have told and you have made the students to understand, we want to find out what they wanted to find out. Are bats really blind? Do they suck human blood? Why is a bat not a bird? Are bats flying mice? These are all the questions what they wanted to figure out, because these are the open-ended questions. As a teacher we are going to give, and as a teacher we have to take the open-ended question from the students also, because you need to make sure that this first two, K and W, means what the students actually know. Already they know, they have the previous knowledge. But the second is what the students will find out from you, what the curiosity they have. So that question you have to take it. How, when you have given that like in the class, what we wanted to find out, so these questions will come. Then the third step will come, what we learn when you taught, when you understood K and W. And after that, when you are bringing your concept, all these Bloom's taxonomy parameter and all, use action verb, whatever you made your lesson plan after your teaching. So what will happen? They will understand, they will write the and they will speak that what we learn. Now the students will give the answer. Bats bring about pollination. Bats locate prey by these, all the question answers. How they will come to know? Previously, they were aware about these two, K and W, and later L and H. You understood that? Where the teacher has involved, where they understood this concept, when you have brought all their already the previous knowledge, which you made them to understand more in detail. And finally L and H means how can we learn more. They will do the research, they will go to the library, they will read more books about the bat, you will take might be to the field trip, museum, more videos, all these things. So this is what the KWLH chart. When you are making your lesson plan, if you are keeping this KWLH in front of you, so what will happen? The students from the day one will be knowing that where I am and where I have to reach. So this is a very important strategy which every teacher has to and every educator has to must work in the class. Okay. So this is why the CBSE recommends, because CBSE has made it somehow mandatory to use a KWLH in the class. Because as a teacher, when I go, might be I don't know how many students already know this topic already, but how much they know, that prior knowledge at least I should check. So that is very important, where I have to activate the prior knowledge. Second thing is we have to encourage the students to question. Could you see that the when we are going with the W, what we want to find out? You have given that class that liberty to speak too much. And you have even given the liberty to the students to pose their questions. The time they're posing the questions, they will be curious in your class to find out the answer also what my teacher is going to tell. So this is very, very important for us to encourage students to question. Then finally supports experiential learning, which is very, 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 very important. Just a minute. Yes, Renuka madam.
Can I just share one of my experiences of creating a lesson plan on these lines?
Yes, yes, madam. Sure, I will be glad to listen. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned about what the child knows. So we enter we made an entry in our lesson plan which was titled as entry ticket. So that was an entry ticket which helped them to recap or understand what they know about the topic already. And then we go on with the W and L, and at the end of it we used to just say call it an exit ticket, which showed us that how, like, which covered the L and the W. It also made us
Mhm.
understand if there are any gaps that probably would help us to plan our next class, on the same
Correct,
topic,
correct.
maybe how we
Mm.
can better it, or how, if there's something that we want to include in our next lesson. So that entry ticket, exit ticket, and of course the learning outcomes in between help us
Mm.
to bring these things in our lesson plan.
Mhm. So nice,
Yes,
Renuka madam. I think that many of you have connected with that madam answer. Yes, seriously, madam. Could you understand, Renuka madam, how, like, when I'm talking about that, you could connect with your classes also. See
absolutely,
how
yeah.
this is so important for us to identify where the students are and how I have to connect it more in the class with them. So
Yeah.
wonderful job, madam, you are doing.
Thank you.
No doubt in that. So this is as here the Ranuka madam also has brought her knowledge into that. As a teacher, might be we all are doing, but right now it's very important for us as a teacher. We have to reflect that are we doing every day or not when I'm going in the class, because here your support of more experiential learning has to be brought, because this only will help the students for the formative assessment. Because anyhow tomorrow session we will be going with more formative assessment, multiple assessment, then you will understand how KWLH will really help the students to go beyond the formative assessment also. So this is very very important for us. How often do students ask question in our class? If they are not questioning in the class, so they are sitting as a rote learner, that we have to break down. And that is very very important for us. Might be many of you in your school, lot of training are going on, whether you go for the CBPs, any training, you have seen that how the training will happen, where the any CBC resource person, when we come, we will make sure that everyone has to participate in the group. Why we are asking to just, we don't teach more, we will allow you all to participate more. The reason is why, when the students are participating with each other, peer learning to anyhow is happening, but with the collaboration they will understand their other friends how they are thinking, and then only this comparison differentiation of all this mind set, when it comes in front of them, more learning happens. Because here the child is not passive learner here, they all became an active learner. So as a teacher, our job should be what, when I'm planning my lesson plan, I should be very much sure that if I have divided for the 7 days of my teaching, in that 3 to 4 days, so must I should do my maximum work where I have to involve the students. Even the writing notes also, if you are a very smart teacher, make sure that they should sit in the group and they have to do their notes also completely with each other, where they need to discuss togetherly, where they just give some ideas, and where they have to write down the answer concept wise, which is very very important. Because those days gone where we have to allow the students to write question wise, we should must allow the students to write concept wise. If a chapter is there, any chapter divide into 5 to 6 concepts, and make sure that these 5 to 6 concepts the students should write by their own. The time they are doing by their own, they will filter out lot of keywords. They will filter lot of questions also. So this is what, if we are doing, it will be very helpful for the students in grade 10th and 12th. Trust me. So this is what we also have to work, that how I have to make my teaching as a teacher very unique. And for that, you as a teacher should take that liberty as a mentor to enter in the class, because I understand that we'll have a lot of target to complete the syllabus, but how smartly I have to complete the syllabus, where the students should go with the concept learning, where the parents or whether any one of the child should always feel that you are the best teacher, because the time you have entered, you thought about the child, you did not think about the syllabus automatically it will, anyhow if we'll try also, never we are happy. Any teacher, I could say that as a teacher also, me also, Syllabus will be never ending the way we want that. But at least as a concept wise, as a teacher, at least I can try now where my students should understand out of 12, at least 6 to 7 main chapter, at least they should understand. The time we have done, we have reached our goal as a teacher where we made the entire class to be connected with us. So that's the reason KWLH is very, very important, where you have to allow the students to question and to do certain activity which will surely will make you to assess this class. So this is what the standard of the CBC lesson plan flow. I'll request every one of you, if you are following this is very good. And if not, you can might be, if your school has given certain lesson plan, that's a different thing. But generally, this is what the standard of the CBSE lesson plan, which they have asked for the learning outcome on the base of Bloom's taxonomy. KWLH chart strategy, which is very important, where we have to understand how much they know, what they already know, and what you have to make them to learn. The introduction and engagement, teaching learning process. It means what methodology you have brought and all. Then what are the guided practices and activity assessment, which we will anyhow will come to know tomorrow. And the reflection, because it's very important for we as a teacher, student reflection and teacher reflection, and the home assignment. So when you are giving the home assignment, keep KWLH. So this is what the standardized CBSE lesson plan, which has to be made in this particular format. Okay. So here the think and reflect. Which step is often missed in our lesson plan? Are we planning the activities or only explanation? Which is very, very, very important of us for understand that. So if you see that classroom application and reflection, it's supposed to be example across the grade level, primary, middle, and secondary. You could see that. The primary level, if you see that, name and classify the animals. Middle school, if you see that, the same thing, explain the evaporation. Secondary, analyze and causes and effective. Same framework, but different depth. So it means what here? Here we are talking about that how the grade 1 to grade 10, the topics might be will be the similar. As for an example, when I talk about the photosynthesis, we all know that photosynthesis somehow it will come in the EVS topic in the grade 4. But how in the grade 10 it will become higher order, not even higher high weightage chapter, one topic in the grade 10 life process. So which is very, very important for us to understand how as a teacher, it's not the grade 1, grade 4, grade 10, the topic classification in the class where I as a teacher need to reflect a lot, which is very, 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 very important for us to figure out that in the primary level, middle level, and secondary level, how I need to just differentiate this, where the depth of that topic has to be brought to the students from primary to higher level. This is very, very important. That's the reason many of the school goes with a more department wise meeting. Why the department wise meeting? Where the every teacher in that department, like suppose science teacher, all the grade 1 to grade 10 has to be seated and need to plan the lesson plan accordingly. Okay, in suppose with the same topic, suppose if we take the math also, we know that maths hardly 12 to 13 topics are there from grade 1 to grade 12, but how it's aligned with every class. So that reflection we as a teacher, subject teacher, we have to do with our department. So there are many schools, they do that also. And you also as a smart teacher, you can just bring few of your middle school teacher, primary school teacher, or higher grade teacher to work togetherly on that. If it happens, who will get the benefit? As a teacher, we also will get the benefit, and even the student also. So assessment, as I said that, which has to be aligned with the learning outcome, which is very, very important, because we have to must assess what I'm going to teach, how I'm going to assess, and how the balance of writing, oral activity, what type of tools I have to bring. So tools is nothing, what type of multiple assessment I'm going to just bring, where the focus should be on the skill, not in the memorization. So that's how when we go with exam is not only the pen and paper we are going to check with their marks and all. No, how much the child could think and write by his and her own. That is what the competency based education which we have to bring in. So the teacher reflection in the lesson plan also, which the CBSE has made it mandatory. Every lesson after, it has to be must understand where learning outcome achieve or not. Ki whatever I have made the my learning outcome of this particular chapter has been achieved or not, which Bloom's level were covered, because obviously if the top 6 parameters are there, out of 6 how many parameters I have achieved, and what really worked well in this lesson, what type of activity really work, what type of Bloom's parameter really work for these students, and what improvement is needed. Because the time we have reflected, next chapter you can make as more quality based. This is very, very important teacher reflection in every chapter when you are making the lesson plan, which is very, very important. So to key takeaway of this lesson plan when we are making is what? Learning outcome are compulsory. You neglect the learning objective, no problem, but learning outcome, it should not be, because the time you have understood that what should be my target, then what will happen from the day one, you will work accordingly. Bloom's taxonomy towards a higher order thinking, and KWLH lesson planning is very, very, very important. Assessment has to be aligned with the outcome. You should make sure that multiple assessment you have to bring, and good planning lead to the confident teaching. That is very important. So to tomorrow's session, I hope that many of you are going, when you are coming, we will be going in depth of what? Depth of assessment and what type of activity we have to bring, because tomorrow and day after tomorrow session are the interconnected. So you will understand the entirely how the 10th and 12th board examination, also how the question paper used to be prepared. So that depth of learning, we will be knowing that. So any teacher is having like any query, you people can just ask. So after 3 days of your training session, you will be given a CBT certification also. Okay, so but these 3 days, you people just attend, just make a few of your notes also, so that you people can share in the group also. So we will tomorrow also same timing, you people can join, and we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.